Okay, hello. So, did you all sleep through the D2L crisis, or have you lost years of your life like me? Okay, welcome, day one. Here we go, 20th century world history. So, this class is a 200 level class. So, always with my 200 level classes, I let you decide. Do you want discussions? Let me know. Send me a message in the class messenger thing. If you want discussions, if the majority want discussions, we'll have discussions. If not, no. I get different feedback from students on those. With the 100 level classes, I like them because then everybody stays engaged. These asynchronous classes are difficult, and a lot of times you know what you're doing. Maybe you're working, you have family demands, a lot of different things. You don't want to have to worry about a midweek discussion. So let me know your preference on that. The majority will win. Okay, then this week, week one. So you're going to read chapter 1 in our text, which is linked in the syllabus. It's imperialism and the Industrial Revolution. That predates the 20th century, but it's important to study it to understand how things changed. Prior to that, especially in this country, but in many countries, things were very agrarian. I read a scholarly article that compared the Civil War time in our country to that in Italy. Robust, thriving agricultural economies. The railroad comes in. Now the commodities can make it to cities, urban areas. Things start to transform. Crop production becomes better. People start moving to cities. It was really interesting. And then the change also that it spawned in government. So you have to have a foundation. So chapter 1 lays the foundation. And then I want you to do a little research on your own about prominent events in the 20th century. Or maybe you have something in your family that you know about that affected you. Maybe you have somebody that served in the Gulf War in 1991. Maybe you have somebody who served in Vietnam. Maybe, who knows? If something impacted your family, you might want to pull from that. But I want you to pick a topic from the 20th century that is of interest to you. Now, it can't be something so obscure that there's no scholarly research, so bear that in mind. But so many things happened in the 20th century. We have World War I. We have complete collapse of governments in especially Eastern Europe. We have communism, the Bolshevik Revolution. Something so fascinating to me about that. So Russia, we have the communism, the Bolshevik Revolution. The communists now are in control. Everything became state-owned. So not only did the Tsar lose his power and his life, but all of his nobles, all of his loyal supporters that were land barons, gone. That reverted to the state, because with communism, the means of production, including land, are state-owned. So we're going to see so many different things as we go along here. So pick something that's interesting to you. We have the Depression, we have World War II, we have, the Treaty of Versailles at the end of World War I, that some think laid the foundation for World War II. We have the formation of the United Nations at the end of World War II. We have the formal state of Israel coming into being in 1948. Then we have the Korean conflict, we have Vietnam. We have so many assassinations here in our country during the 60s. We have the Cuban Missile Crisis, the Bay of Pigs. There are so that feminism, civil rights, so many things happen in the 20th century. Technology, things like taking a class online would never have been possible until maybe toward the mid to late 1990s. We see how technology impacted everything, including globalization. The world's a little smaller than it once was. So there's so many things, so many topics. So pick something that is of interest to you, and I'll get more assignments visible, but this D2L outage really made a mess. Okay, so bear with that, but keep checking, and by next week, we'll have a better vision. Okay, So with your topic, this is a week one assignment. Choose the topic, summarize it. What is its historical importance? Why is it of interest to you? If you don't want to share that, though, you don't have to. About you. You do have to say why it's historically important. And then I want you to create a timeline of the topic with at least 5 events related to the topic, and each item will be labeled with a title, specific date, and a brief paragraph of its description. A paragraph has at least 3 sentences. Make sure that you include your references for each source that you consult, and then you submit it as a Word document or a PDF. Also, a word on AI. AI is clever and has gotten so good it is almost impossible for us to know if you've used it. I really discourage you from using it. I know we wear many hats. We're working, we have family demands, things we want to do, we're busy. But I really encourage you to put your phone down, take a little break from social media, and do some reading. Eyes on a page, a book. Which we will read a book in this class. If you look in the syllabus, there's a schedule. I just didn't get to them all, courtesy of the D2L outage. So the schedule, though, I have a 10-week schedule laid out in the syllabus. And it is, okay, here it is. So this week, you just have your topic selection. Next week, we're going to do a primary and secondary source assignment. You must understand the difference and the importance of to the study of history, primary and secondary sources. Then we're going to you'll do an outline of your project, which you're picking the topic this week. So be watching the news. It's probably still in the news. Things repeat. Characteristics cycle. We as humans have not evolved very much. We are motivated by the same things that we've been motivated by since the beginning of recorded history. Okay, so check the syllabus. The 10-week schedule is laid out in there. It's just not laid out in our class because, again, the D2L outage. Okay, about AI, and I promise going forth, I'll try to have these videos be less than 5 minutes. But years ago, I was sitting around a campfire, and there was an old cowboy, and then there were doctors, lawyers, dentists, academics, brainy people, interesting people. But the most interesting person there was the cowboy. And why is that? On his off time or when he had inclement weather and couldn't be outside working, he would read books. When you read books, it does something, I think, to your brain. I don't know any science behind it, but people who read, their brain, I think, works faster. It works better. They are more interesting. When all you can talk about is whatever you have found on your phone, you're just repeating what everybody else already knows or can easily find. When you put the time into reading a book, which we will read a book in this class, you're going to read a book, it does something different to you. It creates an energy, a presence, a surety. People want to be around you. They want to know what you have to say. It makes you far more interesting than everybody else who is just sitting there live scrolling. So that's my plug on that. And same with AI. Do your own assignments. So the assignments do go through the Turnitin similarity checker. Ideally, your similarity score would not exceed 30. Obviously, we're studying the past. Things have probably been studied and stated that we're studying and stating. However, you need to formulate things in your own words. If you consult a source to get your answer, list your source. Don't copy and paste. Put things in your own words. Make yourself learn. Do the reading. That's the other thing. The midterm and the final exam, we will have those. The midterm will be at week 5. The final exam is at week 10. Those will primarily come from the reading. So please do the reading. Okay, I think that's it. My cell phone number is in the syllabus. If things are not working for you or you have a question, let me know. Text me. I am in my 50s, so I do ask that you maybe don't text between the hours of 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. But sometimes that's when you have to work on it, and that's when the question comes to you. So send it. That's fine. Okay. That's it. Have a great day, and be sure to let me know. Do you want discussions or no? The majority will win. Okay. Bye.